Welcome to Rodin Valley's Virtual Assembly. There is so much amazing work going on at home and so many students to congratulate. Here are just a few. Just a reminder of our virtual sports day. Make sure you do your bit for your house and enter into as many events as you can. Good luck. The theme of the week is community, as we wanted to explore what a community truly means to you all. And while speaking to staff and students here at Rodin, I thought it was also important to build upon our understanding of the facts and events surrounding the current global Black Lives Matter protests, in order to think about how the current protests fit into the wider context of what values and principles our community should reflect. This assembly is by no means a complete and comprehensive examination of the subject area, but I hope it will spark some meaningful conversations and get us all thinking and reflecting on the injustices and discrimination that is experienced by many people all around the world. So let's start by finding out what community means to you. For Mr. Murray, community is about helping each other out and looking after our local area. For Mrs. Dyson's daughter, a community is one in which we protect one another. We support each other and we agree with each other whilst feeling safe and protected. Mrs. Dyson's friend believes that community is all about helping one another and supporting each other in times of need. Our student executive and house captains believe that community is about working together with others, being kind and helping others to achieve something. A community is people of all different backgrounds joining and acting as one. Such a lovely way to describe a community. And what do some of your lovely teachers think?
For me, community and sport go hand in hand, and as a PE teacher that's probably no great surprise. Sport is a brilliant tool for people from different backgrounds to interact and integrate by playing the sport or volunteering and giving up their free time, or by just spectating and supporting a local team or club. All over the country there are football, netball, cricket, rugby clubs that are a focal point of a community. They provide an area for support. They provide a place for people to socially interact and come together. And also a chance for individuals to develop themselves socially, mentally, alongside the physical activity if you're performing. It is inclusive. Sport is a massively inclusive vehicle that allows all ages, genders and abilities to take part. It promotes and works hard on tackling issues in society, and for me it allows people to come together, challenge each other, but strive to move forward as one. And for me, that is what community is all about.
Hi everyone. A perfect opportunity presented itself this week. Next to me is the winning Humanities logo competition entry from Abigail in Year 8 at Rodin Valley. And the logo encapsulates for me the community in Loughton and at Rodin Valley and within the Humanities faculty. I see community as a series of connections, a variety of ways in which people are linked or connected to one another. And Abigail has broken down the different aspects of her design and shown how each of these is interconnected. So I'd just like to talk about some of these things in terms of community links. Firstly, the oval shape is for the earliest known settlement in Epping Forest, our local area. The deer antler and the represent the forest and the local wildlife, the nature reserve and Epping Forest. The interfaith symbols around the outside of the logo suggest our diverse community. The group of people in the centre represent the subject of sociology, but also to me they represent asking questions, teaching and learning, equality, access. The stripes through the centre reflect political parties. They also reflect our house system, another way in which numbers of us are connected through staff and students in each of the houses across Roding Valley. And the logo itself has similarities to the Roding Valley logo, and so another connection, another part of our wider community, the V here representing Roding Valley. For me, community is really important, and belonging to lots of different communities is also really important. And I was thinking about what stands out most to me about community life, and that's about a sense of belonging and a sense of recognition and a sense of understanding those who are in my community. I'm really, really delighted with this logo and hope that whenever you see this logo that you are reminded of all the ways in which it talks about and thinks about our local community. Thank you very much, Abigail. Take care, everyone.
I personally feel having a community is all about diversity, respecting everyone and treating everyone as equal. It should also be about liberty and allowing people to express their views in a way that is not going to upset or cause harm to anyone else. I am absolutely proud to be a member of the Roding Valley community with all the diversity that it represents. And there are lots of things going on in school that we do to celebrate a community, such as making Christmas hampers, such as taking part doing the character and culture program. And there are also other ways that you can all get involved in the local community too.
The UK is more ethnically, racially and religiously diverse than ever. Yet we have seen the sharpest ever increase in recorded hate crimes, with an increase of 57% in merely 5 years. We cannot deny that prejudice based upon racial difference is alive in the UK, which has only been highlighted in recent events as people from all over the world are calling for action to tackle racial injustice. It has been the responsibility of UK governments to promote policies that encourage social cohesion and combat discrimination and inequality for all of its citizens. The concept of community cohesion was established in the UK following a number of riots in 2001, where a number of northern towns in England erupted in violent clashes, predominantly sparked by racial tensions. While continuing to emphasise the need to tackle inequalities, community cohesion programmes were formed to help create an understanding between different groups of people. Also to build mutual trust and respect by breaking down stereotypes and misconceptions about others. Community cohesion is a shared vision and a sense of belonging for everyone. In this community, the diversity of people's backgrounds and also their circumstances are appreciated and positively valued, where people from different backgrounds have equal life opportunities. Protests have erupted across the United States, the UK and all around the world in the last few weeks following the death of an unarmed black man in police custody. Protesters are calling for 4 police officers involved to be called to justice for the death of George Floyd, as well as justice for every other victim of police brutality. Historians are comparing today's protests to the civil rights movements of the 50s and 60s, where people fought to gain equal rights for black people under the law. George Floyd may have been thousands of miles away, but unfortunately racism is all around us, even here in the UK. Unemployment rates are significantly higher for ethnic minorities. Black people with degrees earn 25% on average than white people. Rates of prosecution and sentencing for black people are 3 times higher. And if you are an ethnic minority in our country, you are more likely to live in poverty. Black Lives Matter is an international human rights movement and began with the use of the hashtag Black Lives Matter on social media. Black Lives Matter campaigns against violence and systemic racism towards black people. They regularly hold protests speaking out against issues such as racial profiling, police brutality and racial inequality in the criminal justice system. The Black Lives Matter movement is committed to the belief that all humans are equal and as such should be afforded equal rights and opportunities irrespective of the colour of their skin. The Black Lives Matter name does not imply that white lives do not matter. And ensuring that black lives have equal rights and opportunities does not mean taking rights and opportunities away from white people. All people can have rights at the same time. The name Black Lives Matter refers to the fact that in many communities around the world, it is felt that black lives do not matter the same as white lives, and that this needs to be pointed out and changed.
There have also been many influential figures such as footballers, singers and different companies who have spoken out about racism and discrimination, and this has helped spread awareness.
Equality is a huge and complicated subject, and we've begun to reflect on the current Black Lives Matter movement and the protests that are taking place around the world. But remember that people have more than one identity, and we should consider the overlapping of these identities. This thinking is not only important in understanding and valuing individual experience, but also in understanding how a person might experience multiple types of discrimination. People from LGBT communities have also faced prejudice, ridicule, and many other forms of negative treatment, purely because of their sexuality or gender identity. The Pride movement was born out of protests against systematic oppression and violence against people who were gay, lesbian, or transgender. It was this oppression, violence, and harassment that started the 1969 Stonewall riots in New York, led by black transgender activist Marsha P. Johnson, thus providing a catalyst for the Pride movement that has continued to grow and fight for equality for all over the world, even to today. The first Pride March took place in 1972 in America in support of the Stonewall riots. Nowadays, these events are seen as a celebration of diversity. They are open and welcoming to everyone from all areas of society and provide safe and inclusive spaces for people to be themselves. This Saturday, the 20th of June, a virtual Essex Pride will be held via YouTube. If you do watch a virtual Pride or attend one in the future, maybe think about how you can get involved in making some positive changes in society. How can you challenge the use of oppressive language? How can you challenge these stereotypes?
Protest and struggle have been part of the Pride movement since the very start. And because of activism, people in the UK who are part of the LGBT+ community are much more fully protected by the law. Britain has come a long way in the acceptance of people who are members of the community, and many laws have changed to safeguard LGBT+ rights.
The development of Britain's anti-discrimination laws have aimed to tackle unfair discrimination towards many groups of people in education, in employment, and the provision of services. For example, the Sex Discrimination Act was introduced in 1975 to stop discrimination due to a person's sex. Laws against discrimination based on race, gender and sexuality have not, however, meant that racism, sexism and homophobia have gone away. To end these problems, we need to continue to challenge preconceptions and prejudice and be open to learn and change. There are lots of ways that we can start to make a difference in changing the world to be more respectful and strive for equality for all. The change does, however, start with ourselves. Our voices can emphasise altruism, kindness, generosity and empathy for others. We who recognise that skin colour and any other difference of language, religion, gender identity and sexuality is completely irrelevant by comparison to what we do share, which is our humanity. Now I know that it can be very difficult and uncomfortable to talk about some of the issues that we have explored, but I also know how important it is to have these open and honest discussions and to ask questions and listen to others. Some of our amazing staff here at Rodin wanted to share some of their own thoughts.
Hi, I'm Mr. Cocker, and I thought I would talk to you a little bit about what community means to me. I feel really privileged to live in a diverse, multicultural society where you'll find people from different parts of the world, different religions, different races, different ethnicities, different genders, different sexual orientations, and the fact that we try really hard to make all of those people feel included and welcomed, and we've put in so many pieces of legislation to try and safeguard everybody's right to equality. I also sometimes feel as a historian that we deal with some of the really difficult questions around Britishness and British identity, because at its heart, Britain as it exists today would not have existed without the slave trade, without the exploitation and suffering of people all around the world. And recently in the news we've seen lots of anger and kind of resentment about the way that narrative is portrayed. And I think that we need to listen to other people's stories, listen to other people's narratives about events as they saw them, and really educate ourselves around some of these stories, around some of these events in Britain's past. Because it's only by doing that, it's only by listening to other people's experiences, hearing the same story that you already know, told from someone else's perspective, that we can be allies to each other. And that means supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, even if you're not black and British, even if you're not black, Asian or minority ethnic. It means supporting feminism, even if you don't identify as a woman. That means supporting Every Life Matters movement. That means supporting LGBTQ plus community, even if you don't identify as one of those things, because it's when we are allies to each other, when we support each other, that community can do some amazing things.
Hi, my name's Mrs. Delborgo and I've recently joined Roding Valley. In fact, I joined during the lockdown, so it's been very strange to join a community who I haven't actually physically met. But I have to say, I really feel part of the Roding Valley community. The students and the staff, you've all welcomed me, and it's been such a pleasure to join such a lovely school. I've been thinking a lot about what community means, and particularly in light of the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests that we've been witnessing, both here and in America. And I realised that a lot of the things that I know about people come from my childhood. And I grew up in Sussex, which was, when I grew up, a very white area. And I didn't really see anybody of any other colour until I was in secondary school, and we had one girl in our class who was of Pakistani, possibly Bangladeshi origin, and she left our school maybe in year 9 or year 10, and my parents told me she'd gone to Pakistan to get married, which may or may not be true, but I now realise could possibly have been a stereotype that they believed, and they passed that on to me. And I've been thinking about what I know about people of other faiths, other cultures, other religions, and as a sociology and an RE teacher, I pride myself on being very liberal, very inclusive, understanding quite a lot about other people's ways of life and traditions and cultures, and yet I still remain ignorant when it comes to a lot of our history and a lot of why the Black Lives Matter movement is really important. So I'm trying to educate myself, and sometimes I feel very uncomfortable reading about history and white people's part in history. And I read something this morning that said that if white people are not trying to tear down the institutions that we've created to benefit ourselves, then we are taking part in covert racism, and that to be anti-racist, we really have to be trying to destroy those structures that communities are built on to make things equal and fair for everyone. So that makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm trying to educate myself and learn as much as I can, because I do not want to be complicit in anything that makes somebody else feel less than who they deserve to be. Thank you so much, Roding Valley, for allowing me to join your fantastic community. I really am enjoying working at the school.
So, what does community mean to me? I guess it's a sense of belonging, a place where you kind of feel at home and amongst people that you can trust and people that you hope, I guess, trust you as well. I think it's really important that we recognise the strength of our Roding Valley community and recognise and understand that what makes it so special is the fact that it's very diverse and increasingly diverse, and I think that's so incredibly important, and that we are very, very open and welcoming to different people from all different kinds of perspectives and walks of life and understanding. We have a really important part to play in terms of educating young people, but are also recognising that actually we're still learning too, and those young people often bring brand new perspectives, and it is one of the things that I love most about my job. So, what does community mean to me? It means that you're on a team, and that team is a welcoming team, and you should feel part of that team. And you've equal responsibility to engage as you are to encourage others to be part of that.
Good day, dear Roding Valley students. I hope you and your families are keeping safe and taking care. I'm really proud to be part of the Roding Valley High School community, and considering what we have achieved during these unprecedented times, I think we deserve a high five. Today I'm going to speak to you a bit about community and what it means to me personally. I was born in South Africa and grew up during a horrible time where apartheid ruled our lives. If you were non-white, you were discriminated against simply on the basis of the color of your skin. It wasn't a great time, but that didn't stop us enjoying our childhoods, and we did that in the communities that we were in, where we were helped, supported by everybody around us. So my message to you today, in spite of everything that's happening around you, your education should be your key number one priority. And before we form opinions about things, let's educate ourselves. Let's educate ourselves about everything that's going on around us, whether it is the Black Lives Matter campaigns, whether it's the LGBT campaigns. And before we form any jaundiced opinions, educate ourselves. We are in schools. We are fortunate generally to be in schools with our resources, whilst there are millions and millions of children across the world who don't have schools or are not as fortunate as we are. Let's take this opportunity to understand education is the key to our success.
For me, community is at the heart of everything that I do. And now more than ever, I think it's important that we stand strong together as a community to work to build a more just, equal and safe world. I'm very proud to be part of our school community, which has a commitment to embracing diversity and celebrating difference. Our school continuously strives to create an environment where we all feel valued. No one should be held back just because of their background. But equally, no one should be defined simply by these characteristics. We all want to live in a community where people are recognised for who they are and what they achieve, not just where they're from. We live in a far more diverse and tolerant society than it was a generation ago, and that is something to be really proud of. But the sad reality remains that our opportunities are far too conditioned by the fact that our ethnicity, age, disability or sexual preferences make us lesser beings in the eyes of others, and too many people are victims of this discrimination. Movements such as Black Lives Matter and charities such as the LGBT Foundation are here to fight for equality. And what these recent events have shown me is that we are not a community of individual parts, and we are not fighting for equality alone, and nor should we, because true equality does not exist unless it reflects everyone. There is no hierarchy in human rights. If we're going to start to heal divisions in society and make the world a better place for everyone, I think we could all start by educating ourselves about identities, diversity, equality and human rights, so that we are respecting everyone and celebrating differences, helping to tackle this discrimination together. Let us lead by example. Let's refuse to be divided and not deterred in our goal to be accepted by everyone. I encourage as many of you as possible to champion this equality in whatever way that you can. I hope this assembly has got you to think about what community means to you, but also what your role is within your local and wider community, and to reflect on the responsibilities that come along with community, such as unity, respect, understanding and solidarity. I want to leave you with a song that was suggested by Miss Bleakley. This song was written and recorded by British singer-songwriter Labi Siffre. The song was written in 1984, inspired by a television documentary on the apartheid in South Africa, Seen by Sifri, in which white soldiers were filmed shooting at black civilians in the street. In addition to the song being inspired by the brutality of the apartheid, the song was also influenced by the challenges Labby faced in his life due to being homosexual. Here are the lyrics if you would like to sing along. Thank you for listening.
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The farther you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me, you can decide to turn your face away. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, there's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho, your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place in time, you squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly it will blind you, because there's something inside so strong. Yeah. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, there's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough,